Hi, hello, welcome to Monster Masquerade. I'm Faye.
And I'm Mint.
I'm so excited for today's topic.
We're talking about vampires.
Sexy vampires.
Sexy beach vampires.
This is our first... You know what? This still works. We were trying to come up with like a theme for our summer episodes. And we were thinking about like water-based, so we could do like sharks or whatever. This kind of fits.
I thought that you picked this because of that.
Nah,
If I'm being honest, because they're on the beach and it's like definitely like summery.
I just really like this movie.
Okay, yeah, valid.
And it's very gay.
It is.
So today we're talking about 1987's The Lost Boys.
Such a good movie. I started watching this when I was super young because my dad, who is gay, was obsessed with it. So.
I don't remember. I think the first time I watched it was with my cousin, and she was very terrified of David.
Oh no!
Like when he does his scary face with the contacts.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't like it. She was even scared of like, because we had it on DVD, so like his face is on the back cover. She was scared of that.
Oh no! She like turns it around and is like, ah! Oh no! No, it's funny because the main vampire's name is David and my dad's name is David, and he kind of looks like that. Like he had like bleached blonde hair in the 80s.
Oh, that's
They have
funny.
very similar vibes. So
It's so... I did a bunch of research for this, just because I love it so much. So initially, David, who's played by Kiefer Sutherland, had like super long hair, but Joel Schumacher said that he looked too much like a wrestler. So they trimmed down the sides and top to make it look more like Billy Idol.
for some reason, my brain was like he wanted to look like Billie Eilish, but she did not exist.
She definitely did not. I didn't exist.
I didn't exist. But that's really funny. So he just looked like he was going to go fight people, and they were like, he can't look that tough.
Yeah, because I mean, like, even some of the characters do look like wrestlers, like Shawn Michaels, or just with the very long hair and like kind of musculature going on.
Yeah, and their whole like costuming.
Yeah. So this movie is directed by Joel Schumacher, who I know from Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Oh God.
But he is also an openly gay man, and that's super exciting. This thing was written by 3 different people. When they first pitched it, it was going to be more like Goonies and be more kid-oriented.
I can see that.
But the original director dropped off the project, and when Joel got on, he was like, we need to make this more sexy. And so he brought on somebody to help, like, age the characters up and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good direction to go. Too kid-friendly, it would be like a totally different movie.
Yeah, and I think by doing that, they also, like, created something that is very, like, I mentioned it's like, inherently queer, but it's also very counterculture, because it was made in the 80s when everything would have been, like, super Reaganified.
Yeah.
And this is definitely, like, not that. This is a movie for weirdos, by weirdos, and it's great.
Yeah, thank goodness, because a lot of 80s stuff is very Reaganified. But I mean, I grew up because of my dad watching, like, this Rocky Horror, stuff like that, so I got lucky.
This is also, like, one of those rare 80s movies that, like, to my recollection, doesn't have anything that's, like, super problematic or cringy. Because we talked about that kind of stuff with, like, Indiana Jones and Gremlins and, like, some of the older stuff that we've covered. But this is just, like, a straightforward movie that doesn't do that.
Yeah, watching it, nothing made me, like, wince. Like, oh gosh, because it's the 80s, of course, they're saying that. Like, nothing really makes me wince that much in this movie.
This is also like my favorite subgenre of horror is like 80s dark comedy. So like another good example would be like The Evil Dead or Fright Night, which is also vampires.
I didn't realize how much What We Do in the Shadows drew just from this.
Because so good.
I've watched that a lot, but I recently rewatched the show, like very recently. And so then watching this kind of right after, I was like, oh, they took a lot of inspiration from The Lost Boys specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good.
Aside from like the the maggot and worm scene.
Yeah. Yeah, they took that, and it's just funny what they did with that and like the flying and hissing fights.
It's so funny.
Please, Nick, eat some biscotti. I didn't realize you enjoyed eating worms, Nick.
Look,
They are worms. There's worms wiggling around in my plate.
it's worm-like, but not actually.
We stole that idea from the Lost Boys, but I put a nice twist on it. Nick, how does it feel to have a snake for a penis?
But yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, you should definitely watch it. To summarize, a family of 3, a mom and her 2 teenage sons, move to Santa Carla and run into a family of vampires. Santa Carla was filmed in Santa Cruz and is essentially just Santa Cruz in California. I don't know why they changed the name, but...
Oh, I do. I actually found that in the fun fact. Apparently Santa Cruz just didn't want to be called murder capital of the world. They were like, can you please not? And they were like, yeah, okay. So they changed it.
You know, that's very fair. The mom has recently divorced her husband, who we don't learn anything about except that maybe he was terrible and he took everything from them. So
yeah.
They're moving in with their kooky grandpa.
I love the grandpa.
The grandpa's so funny. Like,
he's the best part.
The cast for this movie is very iconic as well. So like we mentioned, it's got Kiefer Sutherland, who was in like Stand By Me and has done a ton of other stuff. He plays a good bully. And I think that's what landed him the job in this one. It's got the 2 Coreys, Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. Jason Patrick plays the older brother, Michael.
Yeah, he's a cutie. I will say.
He has such a chiseled jaw.
He does. Like all of his proportions are working out. I was like, okay, yeah.
I will say, I don't think we would have gotten like a broody like Edward Cullen without Michael.
Yeah, that's true. Michael paved the way. Michael walked so that Edward could run.
True. Alex Winter shows up as a vampire. He doesn't say much before he gets killed, but he's from Bill and Ted. And then it's got Diane West as the mom, and she was in Edward Scissorhands. And she's just like, whenever I think of movie moms, she is the first thing that pops into my brain.
She is such a mom.
She also, I don't know why, I think she reminds me of the animated version of The King and I.
I don't think I've seen that.
I have no idea why, but she doesn't play that character.
She could, though. As far as the cast goes, I was just reading, too, that Jamie Gertz, who they got for Star, she's like the pretty opposite of Michael Lee, basically. She was in Twister. I looked that up. Apparently she was in Twister. She's the wife that's like kind of hanging around, and then she's like, I'm done chasing tornadoes. That's her. But apparently they didn't want to cast her, and Michael's actor is the one who had worked with her before and was like, no, we need to cast her. But they were like, we really want a blonde. They said a Meg Ryan type. And he was like, no, I want to work with her again. Like, I think she'd be good at this. And then that's how she got cast.
Yeah, and most of the people like at the time were very unknown. Corey Feldman would have done whichever Friday the 13th, where Jason dies. He would have done that at that point. I don't know if he would have done Goonies, probably. But everyone else was pretty unknown, but it sounds like they had to fight to get them in the cast, except for Diane, who read the script and was like, yeah, I'll do this.
Yeah, hey, this seems fun.
Apparently Joel took 6 weeks to convince Jason Patrick to play Michael, and he was just like, I don't know.
Why?
I have no idea. And then once he got it, it helped. Like once he hopped on, they gave him like some creative control with the movie and his character. Kiefer Sutherland said that like Jason Patrick was a huge like figure in putting together the tone of the movie. So like more power to him.
Yeah, I'm glad they got who they did.
This movie is painfully 80s, and by that I mean it is the most gender, and I love it.
It is very gender. The fashion is amazing. I want to dress like everyone in this movie.
It's so good. We were watching it together, and I was joking like, this movie is half the reason why I got my ears pierced. Like, if I could grow up my hair like that, I definitely would. I don't know how they wear so many layers in California.
Yeah, what are they doing? Also, would you rock a mullet? Would you do it? Or, okay, my dad, if he listens to this, he will be so mad. In the 80s, it was called a bi-level, and it was fashion before it was called a mullet. That's what he tells me every time.
I've never heard that.
Yep. It was called a bi-level before it was a mullet, and it was very fashionable, and then it became a mullet.
Mullets are very popular with non-binary folks. Like,
Yeah.
if you see them on the TikToks or Instagrams, it's coming back.
Well, they got really popular in the K-pop scene like 5 years ago.
Really?
And I think it started like a ripple. Yeah, a lot of K-pop stars still have a mullet.
I had no idea. There was one guy in the grade below me in high school who had it, but he was very much like...
It was the southern mullet.
Yes. He was a baseball playing good boy.
It's funny how that works, right? It's like a very, I'm a man's man in the South hairstyle, but then also like a very gender hairstyle.
Yes, for sure. The Lost Boys is a reference to Peter Pan, if that wasn't like super clear.
That makes sense.
Yeah. There's some, if you're looking at it, some ambiguity to like whether Michael and Sam are the Lost Boys or if the vampires are, which is very interesting. But the whole idea is that like they live fast, die young, except they don't die. They just stay young forever.
Well, they do die. Oh. Rip.
Spoilers.
Oh, I mean, okay, this movie came out in the 80s.
No, it's okay. We're definitely going to talk about their deaths because the practical effects in this movie are also very good.
Yes. And the music.
Yes, the soundtrack is incredible.
It's so good.
That guy is pouring his whole heart into Cry Little Sister.
He is.
Which, like, the lyrics to that are nonsensical if you, like, actually pay attention to it, but it's just...
They're like saying the commandments in the background, right?
Something like that.
Cry, little sister. Come to your brother.
Are you looking up the lyrics?
Yeah, they just, I mean, it's like your basic, like, religion stuff. It seems very religion-y.
Okay. It makes sense. It was a song that was created specifically for the movie.
Oh.
The guy who wrote it he used a pen name because he didn't want his name attached to it. And then when the song got popular, he re-released it on like his second album or something.
Imagine being like, this might be really bad, so this is not my name. And then it gets popular and you're like, just kidding. Haha, it was me all along.
Yes.
I did that thing.
But yeah, it opens up on a death. Our Lost Boys are causing some mischief on the boardwalk. They get into a fight with this greaser dude because they're flirting with his girlfriend. And then this, like, I guess he's a security guard who has a baton for some reason, like, throws them all out of the park. And then it cuts to, like, at night. And the guard is walking towards his car. And we get this, like, cool shot from above where he's, like, picked up and murdered. And that's how the movie starts. And then we meet our characters. We meet Sam and Michael.
They're so good together.
Say we meet our family, and they're moving in with Grandpa, like we mentioned. Grandpa is very funny and very sarcastic, and I guess very, very attractive to the elder folks in the area. He's a bit of a wild stallion.
I can relate to him and his root beer shelf. I have a shelf in the fridge, and I'm like, those are my beverages.
That sentence could have ended anyway, and I was just prepared to roll.
No, just the root beer shelf. Just the root beer shelf. Maybe the taxidermy, but I don't think I could do taxidermy because I got shaky hands.
Yeah, it would also probably stink, all those chemicals.
Yeah, probably, but smells don't bother me that much. I liked biology a lot growing up, so there was always like a lot of formaldehyde smell in the classes and stuff.
Yes, you could put a little hat on them. And
oh my god, no, not googly eyes. That's where I draw the line.
Okay. Grandpa's great. He's such a weirdo. He has a subscription to the TV Guide, but he doesn't have a TV because if you read what's on TV, you don't actually have to watch it.
It's so funny.
And so Michael and Sam are fully prepared for this to be like an absolute bummer of a summer until night rolls around and everything livens up. The opening like montage of people on the boardwalk to People Are Strange is also very fun. Yeah.
All their like cool outfits, like all the punk kids just hanging out.
Yeah, this movie gave me like a false idea of what like local carnivals and stuff would be like because it just everything looks so fun.
I remember the first time I went to the beach, it was just like in Tampa, Florida. And I thought for sure every pier was going to have like a bunch of cool people and like rides and stuff on it, but it's just like it's just wood. There's nothing there. I was like, what? What?
At least Bob's Burgers is honest about it, where everything is cheap and you might die, but like they still love it.
Exactly.
That first night there, Michael meets Star, and while they're at a concert for a sexy sax man.
That man.
He is definitely like the most greased up muscle dude I have ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
And the scene goes on for so long. Like,
why is he so shiny?
So I actually have an answer to that.
I'm concerned.
Welcome to the Sexy Sax Man segment. I have so much information on this man because he took the internet and culture by storm.
Oh my god, just insert saxophone music behind us here.
So this man is named Tim Capello. He started playing saxophone from a very young age. He was addicted to heroin and decided to quit cold turkey and pick up bodybuilding instead.
Hell yeah, okay.
So that's why he's so beefy. He's like one of those like Christian powerlifter guys. I don't know if he's actually Christian, but you know the one that I'm talking about that like ripped phone books in half.
They're Christian? I mean, what? I'm so confused.
They're a Christian group. That's why they go to churches and stuff. Like after schools.
No, I have never heard of this. What?
But anyways, he toured with like a number of bands and people, including like Ringo Starr and Tina Turner, Billy Crystal.
And he stayed clean?
Yeah.
Oh, good for that guy.
Yeah, for sure. And he said that while he was touring with Tina Turner, every night before the show, they would boil him up. And they would just take off his shirt because he's this massive, attractive dude. And so, like, that became his thing whenever he would perform, like, even by himself. The reason he got this role is because he was going to Warner Brothers to audition for a part in Lethal Weapon, which he didn't end up getting. But they brought him on for something else. And they were like, hey, can you play the saxophone man for our vampire movie? And he was like, yeah, I mean, I guess so. And so literally the song he does is is the cover of I Still Believe, because apparently, like, on the way to his audition, he was listening to that track and he was like, hey, this is pretty good. And so when they got to the studio, they were like, what song do you want to do? And he's like, I have just the thing.
Oh my god. That's amazing.
They recorded his cover, and then he said, like, the shoot itself was pretty short. Like, it was just a couple of hours of him, like, playing on stage, and there's like giant flamethrowers and stuff going on. That was the end of, like, his experience with the movie, like, because he didn't come back after that.
Yeah.
And then apparently him and his family went and saw Lost Boys on opening weekend because he was like, hey, I'm in this movie. And their response to it was like, well, it was cool while you were on screen for like 10 minutes, but then you just kind of disappeared. And he was like, yeah. And he didn't really think about it for like years after, because he went back to touring, and like,
oh my god,
he didn't understand why people were just like obsessed with his presence in this movie. Like, he would show up to conventions and stuff and like take pictures and be happy with the autographs, but he was just like, it's neat, but it's not my jam.
That's so funny. I mean, because he just stands out. Like, and he's a really good singer too, and he's really good at the saxophone. But the fact he's so buff and so like naked, basically, and, like so oily, it's just like
he's got like chains on him. It's absolutely wild. But yeah, I mean, he seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
Like, he did this thing and he got paid for it. And that was about the extent of his experience with it.
Apparently, he did the theme song for Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. That checks out.
That makes a ton of sense.
I'm surprised he didn't do all of those movie soundtracks.
Yeah, I think he just got, like, he continued acting for a little bit, but just got, like, little minor parts on TV and stuff. But for the most part, was just, like, in it for the music. And then SNL did a skit where John Hamm played, like, a parody of him. And he didn't know until like years later when his friends told him about it. And they were like, aren't you mad that they're making fun of you? And he was like, nah, it's totally cool. So like, he's just chill.
Yeah, what a chill
with everything.
Guy. What the heck?
And that is the actual end of the Sexy Sax Man segment.
Nice.
Anyways, our lead character meets his love interest. But that's not as important as the song that's playing.
Yeah, I mean, he just stares at her. He just stares.
Mm-hmm.
And stares.
It's very mysterious. We find out later that she was like he was supposed to be her first kill. But they ended up falling in love in the brief conversation that they had.
Okay. If some guy is staring at me, I mean, I guess if they look like that, you have to weigh. Like, yeah, he's being a creepo, but then also, I don't know. Is it fine? But he has been kind of a creepo, and his brother's even like, what are you doing?
Yeah. to quote Claire Redfield from Resident Evil, it's never gonna happen, bro.
It's never gonna happen, bro.
But Star gets whisked away by David, and Michael is just a sad boy who decides to get his ears pierced.
He's
later.
Like, oh, she likes boys in leather jackets with earrings.
Meanwhile, Sam goes to a comic book store because his personality is he is a scaredy cat and a geek, and that's where he meets the Frog Brothers, who like say they work for the comic book shop for their parents, but are also vampire hunters, and they try to convince Sam that like this town is full of vampires and we're the only ones stopping it.
Are you guys sniffing on newsprint or something?
You think you really know what's happening around here, don't you? Well, I'll tell you something. You don't know shit, buddy.
Yeah. You think we just work at a comic book store for our folks, huh?
Actually, I thought it was a bakery.
This is just our cover. We're dedicated to a higher purpose. We're fighters for truth, justice, and the American way.
But he impresses them with his comic book knowledge, so they decide he can live, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like they're gonna like kick his butt, and then he like knows about comic books, and they're like, here, take this comic. And he's like, I don't read horror comics.
Mhm.
They're like, this one could save your life. He's like, yeah, okay.
I don't know why he would. If I had that interaction with like comic book store employees, I don't know if I would go back, but he does.
Yeah, I don't know. The 80s were wild. Anytime something like that happens, I'm like, you know what? Like, they're like getting kidnapped all over the place. They're just letting their kids do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They just trusted the weird things people said.
I guess it's fine. We never meet the frog parents, but
They're like passed out in that one scene. Those like hippies. You see them sleeping. That's it.
over multiple visits, they become friends, and they just keep pestering him about reading that comic. Meanwhile, Mom is searching for a job so she can take care of her boys, and she gets a job as like a video clerk at like a local, not Blockbuster, but like something smaller, because that would have been a thing.
Oh yeah.
She finds the job by helping a small child who has lost his mother.
Because parents just didn't watch their kids in the 80s. They just let them
I
get
guess so.
stolen by vampires.
And then and she meets Max, who's not important. We promise.
Yeah. Why would he be important?
He's just a guy, a weird guy.
He's really weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, even if he wasn't a vampire, spoiler, like, he's just like, he is very much he would be a Reagan conservative for sure.
Oh yeah. And he's just weird in general. Like the way he talks to people, the way he talks to her.
I gotta assume there's some like vampire like hypnotism going, like thrall or something, because he does not have an appeeling personality.
I mean, she's on the rebound, and he wears fancy coats. You know,
maybe that's the other thing. If he's working at like a video giant or whatever, why is he wearing 3-piece suits everywhere he goes?
Yeah, and she's like, that's pretty fancy. Okay, I guess I'll date you.
What a weirdo. But I guess like you do hear those stories where it's like, oh, your grandpa followed me home one day and he wouldn't go away until we went out on a date, and now we've been married for 70 years. And it's like, that's not a good story. But
that's kind of like my grandparents. I don't think he followed her home, though. I think he just kept being like, please date me or something. Because my Nana was from the north. And so people were weird to her here back in the day. He was just like, she's cool.
They were different times.
They were different times.
So we have a confrontation between Michael and David over Star, apparently. And they're gonna see how tough Michael is by doing a motorcycle race on the beach.
Wait a second. Are their names Michael and David because of Jesus reasons? I just realized that.
Oh, probably.
For some reason, you saying their names together, I was like, wait a minute. This is also Jesus-y. What are the other vampires' names?
Let's see. That's a good question. Marco is one of them, because that's Alex Winter. I don't think
Dwayne?
Dwayne.
My favorite biblical angel, Dwayne.
Dwayne. You got a Paul.
There's
that's
Paul. There's a Paul. Yeah.
And Marco.
Okay, so like half. Definitely the David and Michael, though.
Yeah, for sure. So they're doing a motorcycle race and ruining people's evenings until they like almost drive off a cliff, and then they have a boy fight.
I love the boy fights.
It's so funny because it's like they don't even hit each other. They're just like up in each other's face. And it's like, okay, I guess we're done with this for now. You better watch your back.
Everyone look at her cool hair.
But I guess that's enough to impress them, because then they go to their secret underground headquarters, which is like a hotel or was it a casino? One of those that like sunk beneath the earth after a big earthquake in San Francisco. And that's where we get the initiation scene. We get the worms and the maggots.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then eventually it's time to drink that blood. They give him a weed.
Oh yeah, a weed. And I have opinions on the blood thing. That's the only thing in this movie I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Because, okay, I'm going to rant for a second. they hand him this like gaudy bottle and
jewel encrusted,
and he had just drank out of it and was like, drink this. And Star literally goes, don't, it's blood. And then he drinks it anyway. And then later on in the movie, he's like, you did this to me, Star. And she's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, she didn't. She definitely told you. I remember, like 30 minutes ago, she told you.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only complaint.
Did. I mean, I guess after like being tricked by the maggots and the worms, he's like, oh, okay, they're just goofing with me. It can't be that bad.
Yeah, but then he should not have blamed her, because that's silly. She's the only person that was like, don't do it.
Yeah, no, it's bad. There are definitely some like queer undertones between Michael and David's whole relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's very much infatuated with Star, but there's also something that's like super intimate about the two of them. Whether you're talking about like that scene where he's like, drink it, you'll be one of us.
Drink the blood.
Or like at the very end where he's like, I don't want to fight you, Michael. We can still be friends and stay together. We can live forever and party every night. It's neat. And it's like, it stands in direct opposition to what would have been like the suburban norm at the time with like the nuclear family. It's just a bunch of dudes.
I think I saw recently on Twitter, it was like, all vampires are LGBT. And I believe that, like, they're at least bi. Like, at least.
At least. But yeah, I mean, like, the whole thing with the vampires is that they're, like, living this life of fun and obviously, like, having this chosen family. That they're murdering people with their chosen family, but it's still, like, very much, like, they have abandoned the life that society has placed on them. I just think it's neat.
It is neat.
And Max's whole thing is that he wants them to be a typical American family with like a mother and a father and their many boys.
It was you I was after all along, Lucy.
What?
I knew that if I could get Sam and Michael into the family, there's no way you could say no.
Where's Michael?
It was all going to be so perfect, Lucy. Just like one big happy family. Your boys and my boys.
Great. The blood-sucking Brady Bunch.
It's so funny because at the beginning he's like, I told y'all not to come in here. And then they all like stare at each other for a really long time. And I'm like, what's going on here?
Because this man is not intimidating.
He's not. And they're all like, fine. And I'm like, they killed a cop for less.
He wears all beige. That's not a joke.
He does wear all beige. They really tried to be like, this is not a vampire. This is a man with glasses. How could he be a vampire if he has bad vision? Yes. Checkmate.
He has glasses. What are you going to do about it? But yeah, Michael drinks the stuff and starts turning into a vampire, but only a half vampire. Because we find out that you have to kill someone in order to, like, fully change. So they go to a cliff, which I don't know. I couldn't find anything about how they shot, or not the cliff. They go to the railroad tracks and just hang from the bottom of it. And I couldn't find anything about like how they actually shot that. Maybe they just like superimposed the footage or whatever.
They could have, just like had them on monkey bars and then like they were like, just jiggle a lot, act like the so they're like, blah, blah.
So they're hanging on to these like wooden planks, like above a foggy chasm, and this train rolls overhead and like starts shaking everything, and they're just like dropping one by one and laughing. And then I think Michael just like, and maybe he just loses his grip and falls over. I don't know if you have to like die to wake up as a vampire or not, but maybe. That's a thing in like other vampire.
You get bit, but then you gotta jump off of a bridge.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also apparently Kiefer Sutherland broke his wrist like in 3 places while he was riding the motorcycle because he wanted to impress some girls on the beach. So he tried to pop a wheelie and just completely ate shit.
Oh no.
So like for the scenes where he's riding the motorcycle, they had to have like a special cast that would let him like push the brake and stuff and not look like a cast because they're filming a movie.
Oh no.
That is also a very 80s like story, I feel like.
Yeah, he's like, hey ladies, and then he just falls over and busts his hand. He's like, oh man.
Beans.
That'd be more endearing, though. If I saw that, I'd be like, okay, that's better. Well, except for the pain, probably. But.
Right. I don't think Kiefer told that story until, like, a Comic-Con or something, like, here in Dallas, like, in 2019. He was like, yeah, I broke my wrist because I was a dingus.
That's so funny.
So, yeah, he wakes up and his eyes are all wonky because everything's too bright, so he asks for sunglasses, and he's on the phone with his mom because he wakes up at like 2 p.m.
Mood.
And she's already working at the movie place. I don't think they've gone on their first terrible date yet. No, that they have their first terrible date that night. And Sam's taking a bath and singing a song in a very high falsetto. And
it's so funny.
It goes on for so long.
That scene is so funny.
As Michael gets his first, like, lust for blood, and he starts, like, walking up the stairs very slowly, but he gets stopped because the goodest boy, Nanook, like, tackles him down the stairs and bites his hand.
A cute puppy.
He's so cute. I love him. Then Sam comes out in, like, a bathrobe, and they see Michael's reflection, and he's like kind of transparent.
You're creature of the night, Michael. Just like out of a comic book. You're a vampire, Michael. My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire.
He's like, I'm gonna tell Mom.
Because they start fighting, and then Michael like accidentally starts flying outside of the house.
Yeah.
And so they're on the phone with his mom as he's like banging on the window, and Sam is like, he's gonna kill me. Mike's gonna kill me.
that scene is so good.
So funny. Because she just like bails because there's no cell phone. So like she has to get up because the restaurant people tell her she has a call.
Yep.
And then like it just cuts to what's his face at the table as she's like running to her car behind. It's so funny. And then she gets there and they decide that they're going to be cool for whatever reason because Michael needs help, I guess. And
yeah, so he's like, I don't want to be a vampire.
Mm-hmm. And so he just tells his mom that he got scared by the comic book. And that is the end of their first terrible date.
I would not go on another date after that.
No, I probably wouldn't either, but they do.
Yeah, more dates. Multiple more dates.
Michael goes to talk to Star to figure out like what's happening to him, and that's where we find out that she was going to kill him, and then they start making out.
They have a sexy make-out scene.
And then they have a sex as the clouds roll over and it becomes night. That scene also lasts for a very long time, but we get to hear Cry Little Sister for the 4th time.
You know shit's going down whenever the little sister's crying.
So while that's happening, Sam goes to the frog shop and is trying to like get their help, and they're just like, you gotta kill your brother. And he does not want to do that. So they're like, okay, then you gotta kill the lead vampire. And so they gotta figure that out.
And they're like, I think we know who it is.
Oh, it's because that happens after the mom goes to Max's house and gets attacked by his dog.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes Sam think that he's the vampire, because he has a hellhound. And it's a good boy named Thorn, right?
Yeah.
Is that the dog's
I
name?
think it is supposed to be like a hellhound, though. But he's a good boy.
He's a good boy. He's so excited to be filmed, even though he's eating the fence and tearing at her dress.
Yeah, but he's so happy.
And they get away, and it's all good. Because they do that, and then she invites him to dinner. Is that right?
Yeah. She's like, come over for dinner, and they invite him in, which is important. But they have a plan to like throw holy water on him and like do other stuff to like try and out that he's a vampire. But it just looks like they're attacking him.
They're having paschetti.
Yeah. So she's like, what the heck are y'all doing?
Like, do you want some Parmesan cheese? And it's garlic. But he likes garlic. I do like when they shut off the lights and then just put the mirror in front of him.
Oh yeah, that was good. I do think it's interesting these vampires can eat garlic.
Yeah.
They mentioned it a couple times that garlic's not actually a problem to them. That's like a weird choice that they wrote in, because it's not like they showed them, like, they're not Italian. They didn't.
Right.
Like,
and Max is like, if a vampire invites another vampire, it's all good. So he like sweet talks Michael. He's like, well, you're the man of the house. I'm not coming in till you invite me, but it's Grandpa's house, damn it.
Oh yeah, true.
But Grandpa doesn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah,
he's
Grandpa,
going on a date with widows.
He's busy.
And using Windex as aftershave.
That part hurts me. Don't do that. Oh God. Like, ow.
It can't be good for you.
No, definitely not. Don't do that. Don't. Okay, listeners, don't rub Windex on your face.
The more you know.
That's the PSA of the day.
The boys are convinced that Max is not the lead vampire, so then they gotta find their nest so they can go kill the actual lead. Oh, I forgot Lonnie was a character. Or Laddie. There's a small vampire named Laddie who we see as a missing child because he's on the back of a milk carton.
Yep.
And Star loves him like a little brother.
She does. It's really sweet. She's like, you gotta help me and you gotta help him.
Because I can't imagine trying to watch that little guy do a murder.
No.
That would not be great.
No, it would not be great.
So they go back to the hotel during the day. They steal Grandpa's jalopy, or his, I don't even know what kind of, it's a very nice car. But the horn is La Cucaracha, so every time they honk it, it plays the song.
It's so funny.
In horn form. So they show up, and Star and Laddie are sleeping in the car because it's the daytime. And Mike is also passed out in the car because he's a sleepy boy. I guess the closer you get to becoming vampire, the more sleepy you get during the day.
Yeah, the more vampire-y you are.
Yes. They're not burning yet, which is a good thing.
True.
So they go in and start looking for the vampires and have trouble finding them until they realize that the whole thing is like a nest. And then they like push away some brush and find them hanging from the ceilings because they're not going to be sleeping in a coffin. That would be ridiculous.
Then it gets all murdery.
Yes, they kill my poor boy, Bill S. Preston. They're like, how do we know which one's the leader? It's like, we don't. Well, then I guess we gotta kill them all. And then they literally say, like, let's start with the little one. Like, I don't think it's gonna be him, guys.
Yeah,
but
why would it be him?
y'all are just real eager to do a murder, huh?
They just want to murder vampires.
Yes, and so they do murder him, and blood gets everywhere, and the other vampires wake up. And David gets very scary. I think that's the first time we like see the full like makeup and prosthetics, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because they've got like extra ridges on their faces and the fangs and these like yellow-red contacts that are super creepy. It's so good. I really like it. I couldn't find anything about the makeup was like all done by one person, I think. Because I remember seeing it in the credits, but I can't like find that person's name.
It was very good.
Yes. They fail to kill all of the vampires because David like almost gets them, and then they set his arm on fire, and he cries, which I think is just supposed to like make you feel sympathy for him because like he is young still.
Yeah, somebody turned him into a vampire.
He's probably in over his head, but he still feels pain, so we're supposed to feel bad for him. So because they fucked up their plan, they've got to get ready because they're probably going to get hunted that night.
They like steal a bunch of holy water from the church. It's really funny. They just like walk into the church with like canteens and water bottles and just start filling them up with holy water. And it's like, look. And meanwhile, they're like doing a baptism. So you can just like see the people staring at them.
Mom decides to go on one last date with Max, even though they're 0 for 2.
Bad idea.
And he even says, like, oh, we don't have a great track record, huh? She's like, no, but then they do a kiss and it's weird. And
It's very weird.
I don't know, she deserves happiness too, but not that guy, please.
Not that guy.
He does the part where he's like, I know what's going on, and the audience is like, oh no, he knows they're trying to figure out that he's a vampire, and he's like, I'm not trying to replace your dad, Sam. I just want to be your friend.
Yeah,
Like that-
it's weird.
That feels worse somehow.
It does. Like, no thank you.
And then they lie to Grandpa and tell him that he has another date. Although he probably like would have been pretty useful in that tussle, huh? In the
Yeah.
upcoming fight. He we get hints of him like doing extra weird stuff, and around this time he has set up like these giant log stakes like outside of the property without prompt, it seems like.
Yeah.
But they're like, nah, you've got a date, don't be late. And he's like, okay. There's that one part after Michael and Star have sex where Michael comes back super late in the day and he yells at his mom, and then he walks in and the grandpa goes, looks like I wasn't the only one who got lucky last night.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Oh, what a weirdo. He's so good. I have no idea what else he's been in, but I wish him nothing but the best. So yeah, they have fully decked out the house, and they are ready to fight the vampires. They've got their crossbows. They've filled the tub with holy water. Also got their water guns, and they are super ready. And then night falls, and the vampires, they ambush. The first one dies by he's like gets into a fight with the Frog Brothers upstairs because they decide to Scooby-Doo it and like split up for some reason.
Yeah. It's a bathtub full of holy water and garlic.
Yes, he's not really like fighting. That he's just like hissing and like occasionally swiping at them with his long fingernails and laughing. And then he's like, you're gonna die. And they scream because the Frog Brothers aren't really that tough. They're just a bunch of chickens. And then Nanook saves them by killing Paul and dunking him in the tub.
He's a good boy.
Yes, and he straight up dissolves. It's a gnarly effect.
I love that scene.
His little skeleton skull. That feels very Gremlins to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so cool. The vampire deaths are... I don't know why they cause everything else to go wild. Like, as soon as he's dead... the bathroom turns into like that one scene from It where like everything just explodes with blood.
There's blood coming out of all the pipes. All I can assume is he was like, because they're like immortal, so maybe I don't know.
I get it probably ties into like that like Catholicism, like Christianity stuff we were talking about. Like that's gotta be if they have made a deal with the devil or whatever, like that's showing up here during their deaths.
Definitely.
Sam is attacked by Dwayne, everybody's favorite vampire, Dwayne.
Dwayne is the worst vampire name. Why is his name Dwayne?
His death is cool, but leading up to it is lame because like Sam shoots an arrow at him and it is like the slowest arrow ever. And instead of just like piercing him and like him shrugging it off or whatever, it sends him like flying backwards like 10 feet into the stereo. So it starts like electrocuting him and playing music before he explodes. It's wild.
It's really good. The kills here are just so good.
Yeah. And then it's time for boy fight round 2. We got Michael versus David. And they're doing the thing. I didn't realize that it was that was a reference in What We Do in the Shadows until like this watch, where they're just like flying at each other hissing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't realize, and I was like, oh my god.
Which like I know the Marvel movies get a lot of flack for like these superpowered individuals end up just punching each other like over and over again, but like that doesn't happen. They're just like holding hands and like talking shit.
Tried to make you immortal.
You tried to make me a killer!
You are a killer.
And then he proves him right because he just like scoops him up and like body slams him into Grandpa's like spare set of antlers that he has on them. It's like a Texas Chainsaw level like taxidermy shop with all these animal body parts and skeletons.
Perfect for a vampire murder.
And then we get Cry Little Sister one more time as a beacon from the heavens lights up on David, and he's crying again. But Michael doesn't transform back. So Star runs up, and he doesn't want to be seen because he's got the scary vampire face.
He's like, I'm the vampire now.
And they're like, it didn't work. But then Lucy gets back with Max, and they're like, oh my god, what happened to the house? And Max walks over to David and touches his face, which is like clean shaven now, so we can really get an idea of how young this poor vampire was. And then Max starts monologuing.
He does a really long monologue too.
He's just like, I'm so sorry about my boys. They've been misbehaving. He's like, I should have been better and more strict. They need a mother. That's how he reveals that he's a vampire, I guess. And that's when he's like, oh, it didn't work. Like your attempts to find me out didn't work before because Michael invited me, you dinguses.
Yeah. Classic vampires.
Yeah. He makes a really weird face when he shows off that he's a vampire. He like sticks out his tongue and is like, hey. And then Michael pops up out of the shadows. And he's like, I didn't invite you this time. And then they start having a boy fight.
They do. A man fight.
A man fight. It doesn't go over well. The mom is super not into it, because why would she be?
Yeah, she's like, excuse me?
She gets pulled in by Max, and he's gonna like bite her and turn her into a vampire. And then we hear the sounds, the sounds of La Cucaracha play one last time.
It's so good.
Grandpa just straight up crashes his truck through the house, destroying everything, and like impaling him with one of the wooden fence posts that's just like still standing, still sitting on like the bed of his truck, I guess. It like pins him into the fireplace and he explodes. And then everything is fine. Michael and Star and Laddie transform back like almost immediately.
It's such a good scene.
Yeah. And they all have a hug, except for Grandpa, because he walks over to the fridge not saying anything. And Lucy is like, hey Dad, are you cool?
He gets a root beer.
And then he takes his root beer and he has a sip. And he says the best closing line in any movie ever. He says, one thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires.
He knew it the whole time.
Which, like, why did he not share that information, Grandpa?
Yeah, you should tell people that. Like, they're like just going around town. They could end up getting booped.
Yeah, I don't know. It is like a very good plot twist. I don't know if he was just like a vampire hunter in his day, or if he just like didn't interfere like all those years. I have no clue. But yeah, it fades to black.
It's a good ending.
Yes, it's so good. This movie kind of had a mixed like reception when it came out, because a lot like Twilight, critics were like, it's just a teen bop like drama fest.
Yeah, sexy vampires just being sexy.
But it has picked up in popularity over the years. They made 2 direct sequels that I think were like straight to DVD, and they both have Corey Feldman in them.
Yeah.
In one of the movies, in the post-credits scene, Corey Haim shows up, and it is implied that Sam becomes a vampire between the events of like the first and third movie or something, hinting that they were going to have a big fight. Unfortunately, Corey Haim passed away like soon after that, I think. So they didn't get to do anything else with him for the series. And then it's kind of been in production now for like a very long time. The CW passed up on like a number of pilot episodes, and then it was delayed by COVID, and then they decided, we're just going to give it up because we've had this for so long and it's like not doing anything for us.
I wish it would happen.
Yeah, it sounds like we're going to get a reboot, like an actual movie. Which isn't too surprising. If it was like a requel, like our Scream and stuff, I would see that too.
I hope they don't make it too edgy, because like a lot of these reboots, requels, like I like them, but they're going the very edgy route. Like it was good, like It the clown movie, but they got rid of the campiness.
Yeah, Part 2 is bums me out in a major way.
I did not like it Part 2, so I'm just always scared that like the fun campy ones, they're just gonna make like broody serious, and it's like.
The TV show would have been produced by Rob Thomas, who did like Veronica Mars and iZombie, and like
that would have been fun.
All of their drama fantasy shows.
I love his like friendship with the Matchbox 20 Rob Thomas. I think it's hilarious.
I thought they were the same person.
They're not the same person. There's an episode of iZombie where they have Rob Thomas, the musician, perform.
And he gets eaten.
Funny. Yeah, it's very funny. But yeah, they're not the same person.
Yeah, I had no idea of that until like last year. And then I had to like sit and think about like the repercussions of that. So we'll see. There was also like a 6-part comic series like retelling the movie, and then the Frog Brothers got like their own spin-off series for a little bit, but yeah, it's been like pretty dormant as far as like public releases.
Yeah, I'm reading about the reboot because apparently there's people cast already.
Oh,
I just want it to be like I don't know. I don't feel like it needs a reboot because you're not going to be able to redo that like 80s. I just don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they would do it. At some point, like throughout all the attempts to make sequels or like reboot it, like various cast members have been like, yeah, I'd be interested. And then just like nothing really happens.
Yeah.
But I kind of, even if a reboot movie ends up never happening, I think I'm okay with that because this movie feels like such a timestamp of like the time it was produced in.
Exactly. I think like a cheesy, campy TV show would work best if they were going to do anything. I don't know. I'm not excited for a reboot. Like, not this one. I don't think it needs it.
Yeah, that's The Lost Boys. I love this movie.
Yes, me too. You should watch it. Everyone watch it.
Yes. So good. Be gay, become vampire.
You know, there's another beach movie we could watch that we'll hate and not suggest.
We're gonna watch Old.
Called Old.
I'm literally considering like putting the call out on our Twitter or something and being like, who wants to come on and dunk on this movie with us?
Oh my god.
It's gonna be so bad.
I can't wait.
But yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
And happy Pride Month. Oh my gosh.
Pride Month. Cheerio agrees. Cheerio says happy Pride Month.
Cheerio says trans rights.
She does. Of course she does.
We'll see you in the next episode for another fun summer themed something. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to Monster Masquerade. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to let us know somewhere on the internet and consider sharing the show with a friend. If you have a suggestion or topic you'd like to see us discuss, hop on over to our Patreon to unlock exclusive bonus content and do just that. And we'd super appreciate it if you could leave us a review on iTunes. It's the fastest way to help the show grow. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts.